ای خدای ستاره های قشنگ، ای خدای جهان رنگارنگ.
گویند کسان بهشت با حور خوش است، من میگویم کاب انگور خوش است. این نقد بگیر و دست از آن نسیت بدار، آواز دهل شنیدن از دور خوش است.
As a filmmaker, I have always been inspired by the deep influence of Persian poetry in Iranian cinema. And in my opinion, Abbas Kiarostami is a perfect example of a filmmaker that has taken the best influence from Persian poetry. In this video essay, I want to discuss the influence of Hafiz's poem on Abbas Kiarostami's filmmaking structure. For those who are not yet familiar with him, let me introduce Abbas Kiarostami. He is a screenwriter, producer, director, editor, painter, poet, and photographer from Iran. He is an artist whose work one can immerse themselves in at any time and become captivated by life. Among his most significant works are the Coca trilogy, Close Up, Taste of Cherry, The Wind Will Carry Us, and Certified Copy. Every country has a closer connection to a particular art form. In Iran, poetry is one of the most important and influential art forms that not only deeply impacts the lives of people but also resonates across other art forms. You won't find a home in Iran without at least one book of poetry. In Iranian ceremonies, both religious and national, in celebration and sorrows, traces of Persian poetry are always present in the lives of the Iranian people. While there are various filmmaking styles, what sets Abbas Kiarostami apart, in my opinion, is his profound gaze upon the world and his poetic approach.
هرگز از مرگ نهراسیدم، اگرچه دستانش از ابتذال شکننده تر بود. هراس من باری همه از مردن در سرزمینی است که مزد گورکن از آزادی آدمی افزونتر باشد.
The film Taste of Cherry revolves around a middle-aged man with an unconventional plan.
تصمیم گرفتم یه جوری خودم خلاص کنم از این زندگی.
The only thing left is for someone to come and bury him. The first young soldier who hears this unsettling story becomes terrified and decides to flee. This sequence and the soldier is a symbol of the frightened part of Mr. Badi's existence, which tries to escape from his decision. The second person is a religious preacher.
شما رو درک میکنم، ولی خودکشی یک کار خوبی نیستن، چون که روایاتی داریم از ائمه معصومین و از قرآن هم که اشاره کرده به همین مسئله خودکشی که گفتن انسان نباید خودش از بین ببره.
This can be said that this part also shows the spiritual part of Mr. Badi's existence. The third person is an elderly man who, upon hearing the story of the suicide and learning about the man's conviction to end his life, agreed to bury him and details how he himself refrained from suicidal inclination.
البته مرگ چاره است، نه اول کار، نه اول جوانی.
This part sequence is the symbol of Mr. Badi's self-conscious, the part he had neglected before meeting Mr. Bagheri.
از مزه یک گیلاس میخوا بذاری؟ نگذر، من میگم رفیقتم نگذر.
The next scene takes place after Mr. Badi successfully persuades Mr. Bagheri to fulfill the task entrusted to him. Suddenly, Mr. Badi is overcome with doubt and turned back towards him.
عرضی داشتم. فردا صبح که میای. بله. یه دو تا سنگریز وردا بنداز رو. من شاید خوابم برده باشه، ولی زنده باشه. یه دو تا سنگریز وردا.
دو تا ساله سه تا میزنم.
As you have observed, each scene on its own functions like a short film with independent meaning, yet simultaneously contributes to the overall meaning of the movie. This feature, in which each part has an individual significance while yet being tied to the entire film, can be compared to Hafiz's poem. Hafiz Shirazi is one of the greatest and most famous poets of Iran, renowned for his ghazals. According to researchers and Hafiz scholars, each couplet in Hafiz ghazals presents a different subject and maintains its independence. Yet, at the same time, all the verses ultimately contribute to a cohesive whole. For example, in this poem, first line Hafiz means if you claim purity and asceticism, you should not find fault with others. This is not your duty. In line 3, he means that everyone worships in their own way and find their peace in their own place. However, in general, the entire poem points out that everyone is responsible for their own action. In 10, we observe a woman engaging in conversation with different individuals over the course of 10 scenes, discussing various topics. A woman trying to affirm her identity.
همین حرفی که همتون میزنید درسته اما متاسفانه وابسته به
In this episode, we delve into the son's perspective on the woman's world. A woman who strives to assert her beliefs about woman's independence and self-love to her son, but in reality is emotionally dependent on him.
تمام این حرفا چرت و پرتات واسه اینه که بگی که من درست بود طلاقم بابات و بابا میخوام فکر کنی که اصلا غلط بود. برای من درست بود. خوشحالم. خوشحالی به خاطر فقط به فکر خودت.
In this episode, the elderly woman hitches a ride, insisting vehemently that through prayer, all her desires can be fulfilled.
حاجتم اینه که الحمدلله خونم فروختم رفتم سوریه. این مال اینه که بیا. این حضرت رقیه بهم داده.
While it may seem like a typical conversation, we witness the profound impact of these ordinary human interactions on the life and perspective of the protagonist. In both films, we see that each scene independently carries its own meaning and message. However, it's not disconnected from the overall film. Rather, it is part of a cohesive whole. As the director says,
روحانه نیست ولی حالا که فیلم‌ها رو پشت سر هم می‌بینیم به نظرم میاد که همشون از یه مقوله سخن میگن و میگم من این همون باور که نمیدونم 7 ماهی که کرد فیلمسازی در زندگیش یه فیلم بیشتر نمیسازه و اون رو در واقع تقطیعش میکنه در زمانهای مختلف در یه تایم سینمایی میده به تماشاچیش.
This characteristic, influenced by Hafiz's ghazals, can also be observed in his other works. In my opinion, this fusion with Persian poetry is one of the most reason for the longevity of Kiarostami's movie.
من بیمه ناب زیستن نتوانم بی باده کشید بار تن نتوانم من بنده آن دمم که ساقی گوید یک جام دگر بگیر